Stricken by Disturbed was so much fun.
Wow. Disturbed.
Okay.
Yeah, dude.
I love Disturbed. I'm not even gonna lie. They got the bangers.
Welcome to New Game Plus. This is a retro gaming podcast where three guys spend 7 days playing one old game and then we talk about it. My name's Dustin.
My name is Kenny.
Nolan here.
And this is episode 416, and it is a director's episode!
Hey.
We have been eating good. Last week was Retro Recap 17.
Yeah, it was a fantastic episode.
Always
Fantastic.
Phenomenal. Garlisle,
Yeah, those guys do a
Shauna,
great job.
Clint, shout out to our community crew who,
That's the crew.
again, came and hosted an excellent retro recap. If you're new to the podcast, go and listen to that because they will recap the last 20 or so games that we played on the podcast. And
It's a great way to get caught up.
yeah, they always...
And listening to it as a host reminds me that like our podcast is pretty entertaining. I mean, it wasn't us three.
Yeah, we're
the
great.
The concept. We are great.
We're fine.
Question of the week. What video game series would you love to see an adaptation of? And I intentionally left it open-ended. What does an adaptation mean? It could be a TV show, could be a movie, but it could be a book. It could be an RPG, like a tabletop. It could be a cosplay event, I guess. What?
Do I have to also give you what kind of adaptation I want?
Yeah.
'Cause this is getting difficult.
Yes, you absolutely have to tell me.
So this question is annoying because a lot of beloved series have already been adapted and poorly. So I think my answer is just cheating a little bit. Resident Evil has had several movies. Okay, a handful of movies. One pretty recent. I want an HBO series of Resident
sick.
Evil done well, like they did Justice for The Last of Us. Extremely good Justice. That was such a good series. That's what I want for RE. I want a Leon Kennedy. Yes. Don't shake your head, Kenny. You don't have to watch
I'm
my
shaking
adaptation.
my head for good reasons. You'll understand.
Okay.
I'll go
It's
when
just
you're done.
like
But
movies at this point, I think need to be left up to the auteurs and the pretentious people. Don't let edgy CG dude. With AI being more in the industry, you're going to see the worst movies. I need a long series that takes its time for Resident Evil. Any of the plots of Resident Evil.
Good answer. Kenny?
here's why I'm shaking my head, because I'm gonna feel super derivative here, but I'm not changing my answer, even though it would make for better entertainment. I also decided I wanted a TV series, long form, sort of HBO style,
Great.
and I was gonna drop Last of Us as inspiration for sort of quality and storytelling. But you want to be in the RE universe. I want to be in the StarCraft universe. I know I've said that for some other things recently, but the Zerg's form and some like dark moments, and like there could be some really cool action, some really cool plot lines. That would be a fun sci-fi universe to get to do storytelling in, and I wish they would do it.
But Blizzard would
won't.
have to be attached to it, Kenny.
I know,
and therefore it would
and
suck.
I know, like with modern Blizzard, A, it's not likely, and B, it would be different,
Yeah.
but like, I want classic, nostalgic, like original StarCraft, but like just remade
That's a great answer.
by someone else,
Yeah.
you know?
I've got two answers. One is in the
That's
same
cheating.
vein that y'all are thinking. I'm thinking a live-action HBO series.
We're fans
But
of HBO.
what world is better than BioShock? And they would be able to do that so faithfully and perfectly.
Ooh, that would be a good one too.
That would be
for
a-
sure.
Yeah.
That'd be a great one.
Like,
Yeah.
it's already there. Like,
It's already there, the story and everything.
and then one other, I think I've mentioned something like this, but I would love this. A Final Fantasy IX anime. Like, I would love to see that
Golly.
world.
That's so weird and out of left field, and I don't feel like you're that person, but I feel like you'd enjoy
Oh.
it, and I get it. I get why you would ask.
I will
So-
dabble in anime and forget that I hate weebs if they had a Final Fantasy IX anime.
That would be a perfect
yeah.
world, and the characters are already kind of the chibi, like, you know, I don't know. I think
Yes.
it would work really well.
I think so too.
If you want to be a part of the conversation, you can let us know what video game series you would love to see an adaptation in. Hop into our Discord. We've got a question of the week channel there where you can answer the question and you can hit us with your best shot.
Firewind.
Da-na-na-na.
Ooh, Barracuda.
All
Like in
right.
our retro game of the week, Guitar Hero 3, Legends of Rock.
Overview.
The first thing that we would like to do is extend a special metal welcome to our director guest for this episode, the Kentucky Kid. We are thrilled that you are here with us. Could you take a moment, introduce yourself to our audience, and tell us why you chose this game out of all the games? Because you also, I think you either had a different game chosen or you had a few that you were thinking about, but you ended up landing on this one. Give us the full story of your life.
Yeah, so maybe not the full story of my life, but the full story of how we ended up here. How about that?
Good.
That'll work.
As it was mentioned, my online handle is the Kentucky Kid. My actual name is David. That's probably what you'll hear the guys call me throughout this. Yeah, so I ended up picking Guitar Hero 3 because I actually started playing Guitar Hero on Guitar Hero 2, but I ended up picking Guitar Hero 3 because it had more of the mastered tracks on it versus the covers like the previous games had. And this game had a lot more meaning to me because I was getting more of that age where I had friends to co-op with, and the track list on it really lended to ended up becoming a guitarist because of the Guitar Hero series. This is not set up. I have about 5 guitars within my reach right now. I'm getting ready to start playing in a band again for the first time in about 12 years.
Oh, fun.
So the Guitar Hero series really lent itself a lot to to my musical interest as a musician myself, and I think Guitar Hero 3 was kind of the antithesis of it of the series of the games that were available for NGP.
Sweet.
I was going to ask if it got you into normal guitar because I think that's probably the case for a lot of people that grew up with this.
Yeah, I think that is a pretty big contributing factor because I talked to people who were 10 or 15 years older than me, and they didn't know a lot of people that were playing guitar, whereas with my age range, 1 out of 3 people were playing guitar at that point. I'm not sure at what level, but at least everyone was attempting to play guitar around that time, around the late 2000s, early 2010s.
Yeah.
A lot of Wonderwall in your life.
Yeah.
Well, we're so glad you're here, and we're so glad that you selected not our first rhythm music game on the podcast, but our first with a peripheral like this one, and we'll talk about that more in just a bit.
Yeah. Guitar Hero 3 is Guitar Hero 3 Legends of Rock, specifically. We got to get the full name correct.
Technically correct is the best kind of correct.
Best kind of correct. Is a rhythm video game, specifically one of the kind of main line. I mean, the name is the game. Like, the Guitar Hero games really just created their own genre, so I don't know why we need to specify there. Unsurprisingly, the 3rd installment in this series, but developed by a different company than did the original 2. This is a Neversoft title. It was published by Activision. And was available on PS2, PlayStation 3, Wii, Xbox 360. Later also got a port on Microsoft Windows. And the game follows the exact formula of all of the other titles. You are an aspiring rock star starting out just playing gigs in your garage. And you have got to rhythmically and musically make your way up through the ranks of success until eventually the stakes get much, much, much higher. And you got to literally play guitar for your life.
I think that's one of the really neat things about the game is that it actually had a story where it could just throw a wall of songs at you that you just continue to play through, and as they get increasingly harder, but it has its own little silly storyline to it. You're starting out, you're just some garage band, you meet the big record label guy Lou, and then work your way through the world more or less, and get your band gets more and more attention as it goes, and
Then you
I
figure out he's the devil.
Wow, spoiler alert.
I know. I wasn't sure. I avoided it the first time, but I couldn't put it off because it's so funny. Like the plot of this game is just they took the song "Devil Went Down to Georgia" and they were just like, let's do that, but
I think
rock and roll.
I think it's hilarious that one of the signs they gave you that he was the devil was he tried to make you go on washed up celebrity dance off, which is definitely a dig at Dancing with the Stars.
Oh my gosh, yeah, and that was like getting started up around that time.
A lot of the humor there is really like self-aware.
Oh, absolutely.
This was the one I remember playing in high school with my friend. I don't know if I even played the first two. Big deal.
That surprises me a little bit.
I don't think it matters, but this is definitely the one, and I could tell like straight from the menu that this was the one that we played. Do the first two have a story like that?
Not that I recall.
It's just free for all, kind of like arcade style playing. Got it.
Yeah.
But it's a good conversation, Nolan. Kenny, do you recall in college that when Guitar Hero was pretty big? I think it was just at the beginning, though, and then Halo kind of took over all of our lives.
Yeah, I think we played the second one a lot more than the third one.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that one, in my mind, is the one that's sort of the classic one that was the most popular, but this in general was when the series was blowing up.
Yeah.
Well, this is the game everyone always looks to. Like, you know, the big joke is like, you're like, oh, you play Guitar Hero. Have you beat through the fire and flames?
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
This is the song that this is the game that popularized that song, that popularized that band, that only popularized that song. So, like, I mean, it's
right.
Yeah.
It definitely has the most iconic, difficult song in it.
And
I think
it was
two probably had the most iconic, just like Guitar Hero song, because two had Carry On.
My Wayward
Carry
Son.
on, my wayward son.
Yeah.
And that's the one that everyone thinks of, I think.
Yeah, and the funny thing about the Through the Fire and Flames is, you know, it's the incredibly hard song at the end of the game that popularized that song for that band, which that band even admitted they couldn't play live at the time because it was sped up in post.
Of course. I could do it, though.
Gameplay.
Can we first just explain for people that don't know Guitar Hero? They should know Guitar Hero.
It's known,
became
but
a
for people
thing.
that don't, it's worth walking through the hardware
I'll tell you.
and what you physically are doing. Like, it's a good conversation.
You use a normal controller like any other video game, and then do inputs for guitar songs.
And you platform. It's not that. So the center of the screen is a note highway, and as the song plays, notes are descending on the screen, scrolling to the bottom of the screen. Yeah,
in reverse.
And as the song plays, you are pressing the corresponding buttons on your controller, which we'll get to, which is not your standard controller. They had a very different controller for the Guitar Hero series. And you press the notes and strum in time with the music to maintain your performance and to earn points. It's basic, but it's so different than what was normative in the majority of games at the time.
So different. And it's the controller's fault. Like, because when you think video games, they made every video game playable with a standard controller. So like, think of Madden, like a sports game. Like, they
You're not
adapted
throwing a
that.
football.
They made it. They adapted that to the controller and to the hardware. But this game required something unique and on its own to function the way they wanted. And I mean, it's like you're holding yours up, Dustin. I didn't remember Gibson giving them like permission to like brand those. That's
on this
crazy.
game in particular, on the third
on
game.
this one in particular. That's crazy.
We'll talk about it some at some point, but I'm sure that
one's nice.
It's a Les Paul, so they modeled the Les Paul for this game. They did a variety of different guitars. He has a real one.
He had a real one. Oh, okay.
The real.
Nice.
This is what the first controller was modeled after, was the Gibson SG.
Yeah.
I had the red one with the black faceplate or something. Like, that was the one for the PlayStation 2 or something.
So you had to have this by your TV somewhere. Nice.
And then the rock bands were all modeled after the Fender Strat. So that was the rivalry there.
Yeah.
You had Gibson on the Guitar Hero side and Fender on the rock band side.
On the rock band side.
Oh, that's fun. But this peripheral is core to the gaming experience. Some of our community this week were unable to source a guitar, although David was completely kind in letting us kind of postpone his performance with us because we wanted to give 2 weeks so that those in our community that didn't have the guitars could hopefully locally source one and then play along with us. And many did, some didn't, and so they used their keyboard or their controllers to try to mimic it, and it can be done.
I can't imagine how different that
but
is.
it shouldn't be done. This game was completely crafted with this in mind, and my opinion, from the first game, but especially in this game, I mean, they tighten anything up, but perfectly crafted for the experience.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, because you kind of think of like how else could you pull that off, and I can't tell you.
I can't. Parappa the Rapper. We
Yeah, I mean, we did Parappa the Rapper.
No,
and
sorry.
we did the,
Guitaru Man.
Guitaru Man.
That
one's
Man.
more.
Yes,
Remind
you
me?
can do a good rhythm game that doesn't have the hardware, but it's a different experience.
It's a way different experience.
Nolan, I think
Exactly.
we were pressing face buttons in time and pressing like a trigger to strum or something, which it can be done, but this is far better.
Absolutely.
It definitely feels more realistic.
Yeah.
This game gives, the whole point of it was to give you that you're a rock star feel, and if you don't have a guitar in your hands, you have a controller in your hands. Are you really going to feel like a rock star?
It's so this is definitely, well, I guess we'll get into it, but like you're playing songs on this guitar with the rhythm buttons coming down the fretboard, but these songs are like real songs. Like, it's funny to revisit this game to me because of all the DMCA stuff that went down on the internet, on YouTube and Twitch specifically, but they had to get permission for all these. And the cool thing about this game is that you're probably going to recognize at least 2 to 3 songs in the track list, and you're actually playing them. It's not stuff they made up. It's real songs, and so there's like actual incentive to like, want to play a song that you really love. And I just think it's crazy they got approval and rights to do that.
People talk about the differences in these games and things they like and don't like. I think one of the shining points of Guitar Hero 3 specifically is the catalog. They got some great games.
70 plus songs.
And yes, more of the actual like master track recordings they had permissions for and got to use on this title than on some of the other ones, which is super.
And it's a good
well.
mix too. That's what's so smart, I think, about this game is that Legends of Rock, and it's mostly rock, and all of it could be filed under that. But there's some indie titles in here. There's Rage Against the Machine in here, which is
there's Beastie Boys in there.
Rap. Like, I think that's so clever because you're catering to multiple genres and tastes in music. And it's not just all like AC/DC and Kiss and whatever.
If that was the case, younger me would have been pretty excited about AC/DC and Kiss. But as time goes on, and maybe because of the popularity of this game, I'm really burnt out on those two bands.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and it probably is in part because of this game. There are some that I just don't enjoy listening to because I heard it so much.
Yeah, just like burn them out.
I do need to specifically shout out Brett, who lent me this guitar this week.
Thanks, Brett.
I'll tell you what happened.
I thought you meant Brett Michaels.
Him too.
He's in the game.
He's in the game.
This is just a great story. I was trying to locally source and do it in a relatively short amount of time, but was wanting to also be fiscally responsible. And these guitars are a lot harder to source nowadays than they were a few years ago, probably due to the popularity of Clone Hero and our podcast. And so I searched a few different places, Facebook Marketplace, and a few other places, wasn't being successful. Went on Reddit to my local city's page and just kind of like did a looking for post, and someone posted saying, hey, I've got one and could just lend it to you for the time being. And so met up with them, didn't get killed, and got this great guitar to play along this week. And it was so thanks, Brett, but also like
Shout out, Brett.
shout out Brett, but I'm going back to
He's the
this
real one.
guitar because they didn't have to put a whammy bar, but they did.
But
and
they did.
That's so much fun.
And it's functional.
And it's
Yeah.
functional.
It actually changes the sound of the song.
Yeah.
I know. Like I could
That's clever.
make it. I could make the note flat for a lengthy amount of time if I wanted to. Because some of the notes you hold for longer rather than just press. They did that, and then I think it got better over time. So I think 3 is better than 2, and 2 is better than 1. But oh my goodness, making it where you can do hammer-ons and pull-offs, and it works.
And it works. And like, if you want to really do the harder difficulties, you must master.
I watched David stream last week, and he was doing it on Clone Hero, so he's playing all the songs that he wanted to. But homeboy moves up here, and he's just like, and you can
really?
do
You
that.
do all the thing? Yeah.
You can do that. I can't, but you can.
I can't either.
Yeah, it has the feeling of real hammer-ons and pull-offs if you're actually playing guitar, which is, in my opinion, kind of a hard feeling to capture on something that isn't an actual guitar.
Yes.
Sure. And the fact that like I said, there are difficulties in this game, and the hardest difficulty is ridiculous. But the people that do those. You have to. Like they do the.
Oh yeah,
hammer.
you cannot beat the game without knowing how to.
And I think that is I have to give them credit for that because that is super impressive to me. Again, with the whammy bar, it's like they threw it in there and it's cool, but like to add in specific guitar techniques on that stupid plastic like buttons, that is crazy.
And the added benefit of the whammy bar too is it would. If you had a sustained note that was a star power note, you could shake the whammy as hard as possible to store up as much star power as possible to try to get you through that coming up solo that you either can't get through without the star power because you fail, or to get that extra points bonus to get you through.
So good. It's so good. Nolan, you mentioned the difficulties, and I think that's a cool thing to discuss because I think the way they did difficulty is really smart. So on easy,
very smart.
On easy, I think you're only using the first 3 buttons.
3 buttons.
And then on on medium, you're using 4 buttons, and on
4.
hard and expert, you're using all 5 buttons. And then not only that, because that's a challenge, I think.
Yeah, but they throw in all those notes.
The added challenge is that on easy, you're probably just doing 1 note at a time. Yeah. As the levels progress and as the songs progress, you are playing multiple notes at a time, sometimes 3 at a time, and that is a whole nother difficulty level, like on top of things. So I think those kind of gates were really smart here.
And I also think, when they did the tiering of the songs, they did a really good job of grouping not necessarily like sounding songs, but like difficulty songs. I mean, they did some of like sounding too, but it was more difficulty based. And I think they did a very good job of making sure that progression was nice and linear through the entire set list.
Yeah.
I never could really break into hard mode well. Like I could do it and succeed in the songs, but I was getting the clanks, the clink, clink, like missing it. And then of course the highest difficulty is called what?
Expert.
Okay.
You didn't even know.
I don't even know because I don't dabble in that. But so my friend in high school.
I'm a little bit shocked. I figured you were like a shredder.
I mean,
so what?
Yeah, no.
What difficulty did everyone play on this week?
Mostly medium.
Okay.
Medium is my comfort zone. I can play on it and not stress. I can do some hard, but the easier hard songs, you get to the harder hard songs, and I get out, and then I get stressed and behind, and then I fall all to pieces.
Weeks ago, I started on and cleared normal or medium, and
interchangeable,
and did that like with 90% or more notes hit or whatever. And then I thought I was just gonna stay there, but because it hadn't come back to me. I used to play expert back in the day, by the way. Back in my day. But then I moved into hard, and actually I was able to get it for the most part. until
Kind of like riding a bike.
kind of until the last couple of sections of songs, it really ramps in difficulty there. So I never got back up to expert this week.
I think
within each genre, there are songs that are much easier and songs that are much harder.
Yeah.
And so that's worth pointing out.
Yeah, so I rolled credits on hard early last week. And then I actually had a very retro gaming moment, and my data got corrupted on my memory stick, and I had to rebeat the game.
Oh no!
So I
Full
went
immersion.
back. I went back through. I played this game just for clarity's sake for everyone listening. I played this game on a PlayStation 2 on a CRT TV.
that's the way to do it.
The, like,
That is
authentic feel.
absolutely how you want to play this.
I think I probably could have moved off of playing as much as I did on medium this week if I'd had more opportunity to play. Every time I booted up the game, I would play like half a song, and then my wife would come kick me off.
amazing.
And just
She's
take
like, you're
over.
messing up too much. Give me the
And
guitar.
she's great at the game. She plays on like hard and expert and doesn't break a sweat and is like, why is this so difficult for you? And I'm sitting there like just chugging by on medium. She's shaking her
Both
head.
of your wives are better than you at this game.
Oh,
Yeah.
Hannah, yeah, she would play on expert back in the day too, and it's so funny to me because that was the thing. Like, I played actual guitar at the time, like actually with like a worship band, and I wasn't very good at this game. Not like not like my platforming skills. You know, I do think hard is the sweet spot. I think it's like the preferred way to send somebody because you feel cool when you beat it. Expert's ridiculous. But like my friend growing up, his little brother was like 10, sat the guitar on his lap like a piano or something and played it like this. And did
Immediate jail.
And did expert without failing. He was so good at doing that.
That's the forbidden technique, though.
Yeah, no,
That's the
you'll get funny
forbidden
looks
form.
For sure.
Since we were on difficulty, what I was going to say was once I played through expert, the very first song I failed was the encore in the Tokyo section, which was Cult of Personality. And the only reason I think I failed that one is I forgot how crazy the solo was at the very ending of that, and they just go absolutely hard. And I completely forgot about it, and it took me by surprise.
Yeah, some of the solos just like turn it loose and expect you to just literally just fly. And
Now,
I will never even try. I'm just signing off the fact that it's beyond the reality of my life. Let's talk a little bit about some of the other things that are specific to Guitar Hero 3 Legends of Rock, because it's different than some of the other games in a few ways. We talked about the story inclusion, talked about the fact that it was from a different developer a little bit, but one thing that I found kind of interesting was that there wasn't a like personalization feature at all. A little bit surprising to me for a game that is all about like have a character, be a character, develop your whole career. I assume that's something I would have gotten here, and I didn't.
I think they just tried to do it through, giving a wide range of character choices that, represented different genres of music and different personality types. And then you can like pick slightly different outfits for them and different guitars to kind of mix and match.
Group to pick from 13, 17, something.
It's 13, but there's some characters that are available only on PlayStation 2 or only on Xbox or only on PS3.
Well, and the focus here, so the subtitle for this game is Legends of Rock, and they could really pluralize it because you got two of them. So there's I think this was the first game where you actually do those guitar battles with a couple of legends.
Yeah, boss battles
against real rock stars. Yeah,
and it's Slash, and it's the guy Tom Morello from Rage.
Yeah. Rage Against.
And Audio Slave, actually, which I used to listen to.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yep.
And so those two will pop up after you finish a set and at key points, and you have to battle against them. And then I don't know if you have to buy them afterwards, which sounds terrible, or if you are able to just obtain them afterwards, but you can play as them.
If I remember correctly, you have to purchase them, but I think it's a free purchase.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
But those battles are a different kind of component here, which you could also technically do multiplayer. But
Yeah, absolutely.
you're playing through these solos that were actually crafted for this game, and you get these power-ups that then you proc while they're playing their part of the solo, and hopefully mess them up enough by the end of the solo.
Yeah,
It's worth pointing out that this is the first Guitar Hero game that has true multiplayer. So like multiplayer, like over the internet, not just like
right.
like
Online.
Xbox Live
friend.
trash connections.
And
yeah.
from
And
what
so
I heard, it worked pretty well too.
Right.
Worked.
So that's a new addition here.
Worked.
Yeah, I'm sure
Sense.
you don't expect servers like that to stay up today.
And the multiplayer part, I really, really I enjoy. I have fond memories of because it turns the game, because it's called career mode. It's a single player mode, and that's fine enough for this game. But it turns into quite a successful party game with multiplayer, because you can put it on easy for somebody that is not familiar with it, and you're both standing up in front of the TV. That is so fun, and something that has been lost obviously with time. But like, we didn't mention it, the fretboard's in the middle of the screen, but around you, your character's on stage, the crowd is either feeling it or they're not. And so it actually has, and the fact that you're actually holding the guitar, and you might be sitting, but if you stand up, it even adds to the immersion. It just kind of takes you into it, and I love the battles. The boss battles are fine, but I love like playing against a friend and you try to see who did better. It's got a really solid multiplayer and maybe a better multiplayer in my opinion.
And another really neat thing that they did is if you decided to co-op someone, is the co-op encores were different than the ones in the standard single player mainline game.
That's so fun. Yeah, gives you some bonus incentives to like play the other mode.
Exactly.
I need one moment to soapbox, because this game is about rock and roll
all night.
All night. It has some classic rock albums, and some amount of support in from these classic successful rock artists. It has plot points about being a rock and roller and playing to save your soul and not selling out.
Oh, please.
And then every single empty space provided by this game has got paid branding in it.
You don't care for the branding exercises?
I do not. That is.
What did he say? Wait, what did he say?
So
I don't know.
here.
It's like
Surge. No.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, there's an Axe body spray guitar, which is wonderful. I have no problem with that. Get your money. Get your money.
They made enough money on their own. This is the first game ever, the first retail game ever to do over $1 billion in sales.
Yep.
They didn't need to make more money from the advertising.
Well, that's why they made the money.
That was,
I mean, I know.
That was so smart.
There are some that I don't mind. I don't mind the Guitar Center branding because it fits.
Yeah.
I don't mind like the Line 6 amplifier branding.
Yeah.
It fits. The Zildjian one felt a little weird for me because it's Guitar Hero and you're
Rock
getting a
Band would get
sponsorship
away with it better.
from a drum company. Doesn't quite make sense. The Pontiac one in there, absolutely. I'm like, this is almost immersion breaking.
It was heavy-handed. I wish they'd dialed it back. I wish they'd done a few less. I wish they'd kept it a little more subtle, and I wouldn't have rolled my eyes so hard. But they leaned into it pretty hard, and there's just some amount of irony there when you're selling out hard and trying to. What you're selling is this rock lifestyle.
Yeah. Before we get out of gameplay, there was one more thing that I wanted to bring up if you guys didn't have any more talking points.
Go for it.
Yeah.
When we were talking about difficulty, this game I think is the first one that's the biggest offender of this. Is when you get into, especially into those last couple of tiers, some of the games are, or some of the songs are so overcharted. There's notes on the game that don't exist in the song that it's a bit ridiculous. And I think, the biggest offender of this is Before I Forget by Slipknot.
Yes.
In real life, it's a lot of very simple. It's a drop tuned song, very simple. Just move your finger up and down the fretboard. You got it. And this game, they overcomplicated it from one end to the other.
And
that was
yeah, I think that's frustrating because what I found in the hard setting was that it was nearly perfectly designed in that way, and even so much so that when there wasn't something playing, they weren't ashamed at not having you play anything for a long time. If there's a bass solo, or even if there were single notes, even on hard difficulty, they did that so well. It's frustrating that then for expert, or maybe on a few songs in particular, they're like, no, we got to do something to make it hard here. That's frustrating.
Yeah, and it's I think that's the number one complaint about this game as far as difficulty goes is, Before I Forget is one of the biggest offenders of it, but Raining Blood is a very bad offender of it. A lot of people say 1 is bad about it, but I kind of disagree. I can kind of see the translation there. But on this, as far as the set list goes, do you guys have a favorite song to play?
I was hoping we'd talk this. Yes, I do.
That's a good way to conclude the gameplay section. Nolan?
Miss Murder by AFI. Love that.
Solid choice.
Love that one.
Kenny?
I don't know. I'm so bad.
Uncommittal as usual.
I'm terrible at favorites.
At least you know.
I am back and forth.
I'll pick for you, Kenny. Paranoid by Black Sabbath.
No.
Yeah. That's okay. Well, then you need to pick. So that's yours.
I'll go with it. No, you're right. If I'm not willing to pick, you can pick for me. I have a new favorite song, everybody.
David, we'll let you go last. I did not expect this coming in this week, but it is the song that I just stayed on and loved. I would end each of my sessions playing this game on medium, actually, because it was more enjoyable to me. But it just
I would do that
good.
too. Yes.
Stricken by Disturbed was so much fun.
Wow. Disturbed.
Okay.
Yeah, dude.
I love Disturbed. I'm not even gonna lie. They got the bangers.
I almost got to see them last week and ended up getting into a work call and had to pass on it. But yeah, I almost saw them last week.
That's nice.
Yours?
I guess it's my turn to speak. I think I have two. And they were both bonus songs and not mainline game songs. It was FC Premix by The Fall of Troy.
Oh yeah.
And My Curse by Killswitch Engage.
Yeah.
Or Killswitch Engage.
I could
bonus songs that you could buy in the game, right?
Correct. Right. Yeah, they were not DLC. Yeah. They shipped with the game day one. But both of those games really helped me. When I started playing this game, I was, I'm from a very small town in Kentucky, and most everyone here listens to country or classic rock, which is fine. Sure. And I always kind of felt like this, it's fine, but it never really fit my scene. And those two songs kind of kicked me down this path that I've been on for about 20 years now of getting into the heavy metal side of things, metalcore, the emo side of things, and even more into like the death metal and even more extreme kind of stuff. And this game kind of unlocked that for me between FC Premix and My Curse.
Nice.
Shout out to Guitar Hero 3 for your descending into... awakening
making
is
us
better.
the people we are.
Yeah. Descent into hell is what you were going to say?
Something like that.
Aged.
Back to the guitar peripheral conversation. Sourcing these things. Dustin already mentioned it. I feel like just 5 years ago would have been absolutely no problem. You would find one in the dirt outside. There were so many of them, and the parents, their kids grew up, and they had this crap, and they sold it in garage sales every day, everywhere.
$5.
$5 or less. Just get it away from me. Yep. Now, I blame our podcast because we're so popular. But no, just the resurgence of collecting and retro gaming, collecting and owning, and the price hike on games alone contributed to this some, because like you have people that have online Amazon stores that resell, and they get these. They're the ones scalping them, if you will, and then reselling them. I hate the idea of peripherals on consoles. I always have, even in this era. They're clunky, they're ugly, they take up space in your living room, your mom gets mad at you. Like they're bulky, especially the guitar in this case. And don't even get me started on Rock Band, full drum set and all that. Come on. Like where do you guys stand on sourcing these controllers and if it's worth it or not now?
It's tricky because you have to have it. Like,
exactly.
It is the integral part of this game. So
if you want to get the real experience, you have to.
Right.
Have.
If you want to experience it like it's meant to be experienced and feel like you're playing and get the true experience, you need to be playing it on hardware. I'm surprised that there haven't been more sort of just like third-party knockoffs. I feel like a re-release. Maybe it's size, but I feel like there is a desire here for people to be able to, still play these games in whatever way.
Comes out with one.
Yeah, this is the kind of thing I would expect to go to like a hobby game store and buy a knockoff third-party one for $15 that's made in bulk, and it'd be good enough. Not great, but good enough. But you don't see that. You got to get the real stuff, and it's work.
I have great news. PDR has just announced that they are going to be releasing some controllers due to the rise in popularity of the Fortnite Festival, of all things.
What is that?
And Rock Band 4 is still just finished its DLC support cycle. They just released DLC for Rock Band 4 like a month ago.
When did that game come out?
Fortnite Festival has been around for like 4 months. Or are you talking about Rock Band 4?
I'm talking about Rock Band.
It came out like 2015, 2016, and they've been still DLC supporting it.
Hey, I saw that new guitar announcement video like this week or last week. Did they really announce that within the last 2 weeks?
Yes.
So it's suspicious.
Something's fishy here.
It's suspicious. Yeah.
First of all,
I'm actually a sleeper agent for PDR here to plug that.
Oh, are you wearing the shades and the bandana so we can't tell?
I don't know if Kenny and Nolan remember, but I feel like we had one sleeper agent come through one time on a game. I don't remember the details right now, but I really think because the person came in, wanted us to play this game, we played it. They didn't want to be a part of the director's episode. I'm really narrowing it down. And then weren't a part of the community afterwards or anything like that. I really think there was a push there.
Yeah.
That's conspiracy.
That's so interesting. That video and that guitar looked great, by the way, though.
Price tag, do you know? Probably too much.
Yeah.
From everything that I've read, PDR has declined to comment on it, but from everything that I've read from sources, is they're expecting it to be between $60 and $70.
Which is gross, but hold on. You're not finding guitars like
you're not finding it because there's guys
which is not
there's guys that have 70 of them hoarded.
It's not okay.
If you join the Guitar Hero Facebook pages and forums and stuff like that, there are people that legitimately have 60 or 70 of these things laying around.
It's not cool.
That's
okay.
Annoying.
Are we good to move off of the peripheral?
Just know that I don't like it.
It's going to be a thing, and it makes this game harder to play in the future than other games.
Yes. The songs. I think
timeless. Next.
Largely, they're the classic rock songs that even if you haven't played the game, like you've probably heard of or you know. I'll say, at the possibility of making David mad, this is not my favorite song set list of the Guitar Hero games, and it might be in part because the majority of my time was spent on 2.
You spent more time playing 1 and 2,
But also, like, this isn't my genre either. That kind of like rock. This is dad rock. This is dad rock, and it's not my preferred genre. And so, it not being my preferred genre, and not being now, some of the songs are great. Don't get me wrong, and they do have a variety, but it's not my preferred genre, and I prefer the list from like Guitar Hero 2. So I feel a little bit of that tension.
There's also just some aging factors in general when you do anything related to music because of the nature of music rights and getting permissions. You're not going to ever get like a re-release of a game like this, at least not with the same catalog.
No, absolutely not.
Because impossible. Like even this game itself, they got into a little bit of legal trouble with some of their with some artists that worked with them on the game and were giving them permission. So like music is such a I don't know, lawyer's dream when it comes to like IP litigation and stuff that it's just an aging factor for games like this.
Well, I mean, you bring up that it's all dad rock, and there's one band that is very much missing from all of the Guitar Hero games, at least very early on, Led Zeppelin. They wouldn't. They
Oh,
categorically
interesting.
refused to give anyone rights to
I
their
buy
music
that.
for anything.
I buy that.
You can't buy it. It's super expensive.
What about the Beatles? No Beatles.
They
here.
ended up being not on this game,
Right.
but they ended up being a Beatles rock band.
Like a whole
Yeah, there was one
side project.
yeah.
Side
Oh
piece.
my
just for
gosh.
them.
Okay,
Yep.
interesting.
Yeah.
I'll say about the checklist. I have a lot of nostalgia for it because this is the one that I played and would put some of these songs that I discovered through this game on my iPod Shuffle, the little like stick ones that it had.
Yeah,
You know what I'm talking
yes,
about?
I had the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
one. I had the exact same one.
Yes, so for me, it's hard for me to objectively say that or subjectively say that because I think they picked the best stuff. Because again, I said it earlier, the mix of genre here is so smart. It's all rock or rock tangent, but like you have the Strokes on here. There's
Which is an amazing song.
yeah, you have Weezer. Yes, Reptilia. Like I kind of discovered the Strokes through this game, and so
Yeah, me too. Me too.
You know,
I went out and bought that album because of this game.
right, and
So
so
fun.
that I love that about it.
Man,
But-
Led Zeppelin could have been big and could have been something if they would have let
could have been
their songs
big.
be on.
Well, I think the bands that did it, Block Party's another one, kind of an indie band. Even the bigger ones that people knew at the time, I think it's smart because it gave exposure to bands that I would never have cared about,
They
like the
certainly
Smashing Pumpkins.
benefited,
Now I'm
yeah.
a big fan of the
Absolutely.
Smashing Pumpkins. So
Well, I mean, you have like Lacuna Coil, which opened a lot of people up to goth rock.
yeah, I don't
Not
know
me.
what that is,
But
some
yeah,
people.
I think
It's one of the songs of all time.
that's one of the songs. The graphics aren't the best. They're fine. They're better than their predecessors. But you're not
I
playing
hate the
this game for the graphics. Yeah, I mean,
I too hate the graphics.
some
I
of
think
them are
the
bad. Like look at that
character
drummer.
models
The drummer
are-
the whole time.
The
Oh.
drummer's really terrible. They could have done more synchronization stuff. Definitely your
Yeah.
character changes a little bit based on what you're doing, like well or bad or the solo, but it's not like it's like super locked in.
But that's not what you're looking
know.
at. Like, there's probably like 3 crowd models, and so they repeat
Yeah.
them like over and over again. But again, all you're looking at is a very small portion of the
yes.
screen.
You're not paying
locked in.
attention
Literally,
to
that's
that.
all you're looking at.
And that
Actually
looks
loaded-
fine enough.
Yes, it looks
I
fine.
actually loaded up my first play this week and had some issues with the game, and I didn't even notice that all the backgrounds hadn't loaded because I've
Yeah.
been like playing Clone Hero to like get ready and it's just blank background and then the music
Yeah.
and all that was there was the music.
lot
I
going
didn't
on.
even notice. That's how much you kind of don't care.
Yeah. I think the background graphics are more of an afterthought in this style of game.
Yeah, it's flavor, and they did a good job adding flavor, like the little graphic cutscenes in between, like
One of my
fun little comic style. It adds a little bit of context. You're sitting down to play songs here, so you don't need a lot of that, but some of that sort of icing and kind of dressing makes it feel like a little bit more of a well-rounded, complete game product. So I'm glad they did it.
while I don't like the graphics of the game, one of the things I will applaud them for is whenever you go to play an encore or a battle, is the venue will change for that.
The dragon head falling down and your character getting on top of the head to play the last song is sick. Like,
Yeah, I think that was a really good touch. I think that part of it is aged all right.
sure.
The audio needed to be top tier, obviously, because that's what this is. And I think, like, I didn't even know this were mastered recordings on some of these. That was news to me, but I think it sounds great. And then also the effects of like missing a note. It's like nails on a chalkboard. I hate it, and I'm like, I'm not gonna do that again. And then I get like stuck making a bunch of them. It's like clink clink clink.
But then
the
also
sound
to-
here is great.
Also, to not have the guitar, like have the guitar muted on the parts that you're not being able to play is so interesting and creative.
Yeah.
So yeah, sonically, I think they did really well. And I know we've already mentioned it, but like, I think a lot of people have mentioned this before. Denilson from Discord wrote in their commentary that most of the songs in Guitar Hero 3 are the master versions, while in earlier games the songs were covers. And I don't even remember that. Maybe I do if I think back. But the majority of the songs from Guitar Hero 1 and 2 were covers, And
not particularly great.
right, you
I
could probably
didn't
tell
know.
going back. So that would
Wow.
age very bad. Whereas here, almost every single one of them are
original.
masters. Yeah.
The only one I have a bone to pick with in this game, and it might just because I'm a massive fan of the original artist's work, is Pride and Joy by Stevie Ray
Stevie
Vaughan.
Ray,
I think the guitar on it was fine. I think the singer was trying too hard, and it just aged very poorly.
And if
But
you're
one
trying hard to be
song-
Stevie Ray Vaughan, like it's not gonna sound right.
Yeah, and one
Right.
song out of like the
Yeah, that's
50,
nitpicking.
that's not bad at all.
73 main game.
Wow, 73. There are other games in the series. We've already referenced a few of them. There are some that came after this one. So World Tour, Guitar Hero 5, Guitar Hero Warriors of Rock, and the final one, and I think the final one ever, well, it was Guitar Hero Live.
I personally think Warriors of Rock had my favorite set list on it.
Okay.
It wasn't eligible for this, but I also think this is kind of the game you need to play if you're gonna. 3 is the game you need to play if you're gonna talk about Guitar Hero.
Should you come back in a few years?
Maybe.
Yeah. We'll do the next
It
one.
won't be long. It'll be eligible.
There's also Rock Band, which kind of, I think, in some
Off-brand
ways,
Guitar
put
Hero.
I think in some ways it put Guitar Hero to rest.
It for a single player game, I think Guitar Hero is still the go-to. For a multiplayer game, if for the couch co-op or the like I'm having a bunch of people over, Rock Band was the way
Which
to
most
go.
people were playing Guitar Hero socially. So like I think and like largely Rock Band pushed Guitar Hero out of the way a little bit.
Stupid drum set.
It did. Did definitely sort of diverge.
He's so
into
mad
that
at the
as well.
drum set.
Peripherals.
Social
It may-
game versus like,
If you play Rock Band in the future and you guys have to do it, just get a MIDI drum set and do it that way. That way you just have a drum set.
Oh, we can't do that.
I
That's
ain't
way
buying
too
no
much.
MIDI.
But also, I never. I'm with you, Nolan. I never clicked with Rock Band. There's too much going on, and to try to sync all of that, I just liked the Guitar Hero experience.
And
Same.
see, I'm the guy who beat Rock Band co-op by myself.
You sat down at the drums, had a guitar and a microphone.
No, I wore a headset and played the guitar at the same time and sang and played guitar through the entire co-op story by myself.
Yeah.
Well, I'm singing while I'm playing these Guitar Hero songs, so I'm almost there.
That's true.
they've got the Britney Spears headset variation of the mic, so you didn't have to
It was the
hold
Xbox 360 one, but yeah, pretty much.
All right.
Yeah.
That's great.
The price is entirely dependent on the console you're playing on, although they fall into they're not bad to get the game. It's $5 to $10 used or loose, $20 to $40 new if you want the game for your consoles. It's the guitars though.
It's hardware.
It's
That's
the
gonna
guitars.
get you.
They're more of a hot commodity, and good luck finding one. I will sell Brett's guitar if $150, and I'll send it to someone right now.
Give it back.
Final thoughts.
At the end of each and every episode, we give our final thoughts on the retro game of the week. I'll begin and say Guitar Hero 3 Legends of Rock. Played it before, but spent the majority of my time on Guitar Hero 2. There are some, I prefer the set list in 2, but I prefer almost everything else in 3. I think that they the tweaks that they made, the graphics are obviously better, although still not great. It just feels good, and there's I had forgotten, man. If we haven't made it clear, there's very little to almost nothing that's transferable between Guitar Hero playing guitar and real guitar playing. You might think
Completely different
you might think that you can play the guitar after playing Guitar Hero. It's not going to happen. But all four of us can play the guitar to some degree, the real guitar to some degree. And the way that they are able to mimic that feeling with this controller is remarkable. And I had so much fun playing this week, these last couple of weeks. I've got to give this guitar back to Brett, but I
You
want
convincing
to in part find another one and go to Clone Hero and just kind of like, because the amount of songs that are available to you that are already charted, and you could even chart your own songs if you wanted to, like, and if my old band's songs aren't in there by the end of next week, David, something's wrong. But I just think that's the way they were able to do it is remarkable. Guitar Hero 3 Legends of Rock was a great entry in the series. Might not be my preferred one, but such a fun one. And so, yeah, I loved playing it this week. Kenny?
Get with me after the podcast. I might be able to get you a peripheral.
He's got an agent.
Kenny?
Yeah, so fun to visit games of this type. I'm with Dustin. I think there may be, if somebody was just choosing from a complete list of all the games and they said choose one that you have to have somebody go play, I don't know if this would be the one I chose, but it would be in the conversation of ones I thought about to recommend. In my mind, it's top, I don't know, 3 or 4. It's a great game. Beyond Guitar Hero 3 Legends of Rock specifically, but just sort of like talking Guitar Hero as a genre, I truly think it's one of the only games that everybody will have fun playing. Everybody. I think it's almost universal. Again, I'm not saying everybody will play it the same. I'm not saying people need to play it and on hard difficulty to enjoy it. Something about the musicality of it, though, and hitting those buttons and strumming and just sort of like feeling it out. A lot of games are like, yeah, you like platformers or you like shooters, or you like this or you like that. Everybody likes music. This game is just got universal appeal, and it shows in the numbers, and I loved the excuse to revisit it this week, and so, yeah, so much fun. So, Nolan?
We didn't really talk about how big of a revolution this was. This, like, Guitar Hero...
These games were big.
And there's a reason there's a billion of them, or there was a billion of them on the market, and people snatched them up to resell because everyone had it, because everyone wanted it. Like on the Wii, you would go into someone's house in 2007, 2008 that had a Wii, and they'd have 2 to 3 of these guitars next to the TV. It's just the way it was. And
I think it was like one of the top 3 selling third-party games for the Wii.
I would believe that easily. I would think it's top because it was so popular. And I have really fond memories of this one specifically, so I'm glad that this is the one you brought us. It was fun to revisit it. Harder to revisit now, especially with the guitar needed, that I would recommend avoiding it if you've never played it. It's a great experience, but like the hurdles, man, that you have to jump through in order to get that feel. And if you weren't there, you had to be there. You just had to be there. That's my thought on this game. You just had to be there, and I love it for that. But it's I just hate having to like buy 3 different things to play a game. And this isn't the only game that does that. There are others, but like, anyways, yeah, those are my thoughts after playing it again.
I disagree. I think people will still have fun even if they don't have the nostalgic glasses, but they might not know that and care enough to go and do all of the work to
sure. Have a friend. Go to your friend's house. Someone
right.
Back in our day, someone had it. I don't know.
One person had it. You went over to their house, and that was me.
David, the Kentucky Kid. Your final word on Guitar Hero 3.
Yeah, I think this was kind of the game that really solidified Guitar Hero as a series was 3, because if you looking at it now, we have Clone Hero, we have all these different spin-offs that are mods of this game, and it really all started with Guitar Hero 3 with the custom charts, because there was mods to make it where you could put your own songs into Guitar Hero 3. Wow. This was the first game where people had figured that out to do that. So I think, we lend a lot of the stuff that's modern day to this game. But I do think the barrier of entry on it currently is pretty high, given how hard it is to get a hold of some of these peripherals. We have this conversation again in 6 months. It may be expensive, but it may not be hard to get a hold of it. We'll have to see how that plays out. But I think, for me, this game's just a pure nostalgia bomb. I've been playing this game at night after I put my kid down to bed, and then when I'm done, I'm turning on an episode of Scrubs, and I'm living like it's 2008 or 2009 again.
Best life.
Yeah, and I'm just like, man, life's good. This is pretty great. This is pretty all right. But it's I owe so much to it for all of my. I didn't have a lot of friends in middle school and early high school. When I started playing music, all of my friends were based around music and being a musician and this kind of stuff. So this game really built a life for me outside of just gaming. It gave me a friend base. It gave me a hobby. It gave me something that is a big part of my identity. I have a tattoo sleeve that you can't see right now. It's all different bands. That's all it is. So I owe a lot to this game for that and this series for that.
That's
up.
So the way I'm reading this though is Dustin and Kenny would give this NGP, and Nolan, you would not.
You said it, not me. I didn't say nothing.
I'm assuming the way that I'm reading it is that you would as well.
Yeah, yes and no. Yes, if you already have everything to get it done, and you're playing. I think if you're playing it on consoles, the way to do it. Today, I think there's something to be said for the storyline too. I think it lends to the game to keep you, interacting with it. But if you're just wanting to play songs, go play Clone Hero. I mean, really.
Yeah, because you can even play all these songs, right?
Yeah, exactly. You can just throw these songs into Clone Hero and play through them as well.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much, David, for bringing Guitar Hero 3 Legends of Rock to our community. Yep. Speaking of, our community on YouTube, 72% said yes, it's worth playing today. 15% said no, go play something else, maybe Clone Hero.
That's one of our higher go play it percentages.
And 14% have never played it before, but
believe them.
Maybe they played another Guitar Hero.
They've seen someone play it, that's for sure.
And then we had so many play along in our community this week. It was so cool to give the 2 weeks because so many people went out to get guitars.
Yes.
Some were able to dig in their basements and find them.
I had family members literally on FaceTime crawling through their attic.
That's so good.
Because they thought they had one and they were going to get it out and get it to us. And so it was a fun moment of dusting it off. I ended up having to buy one.
I think in my my tenure with the community, I think this is one of the higher interactions I've seen with a game.
Sure. People love these games, so they're gonna get hyped about it, and it was a fun one to give everyone the excuse to play.
I mean, even if you don't play the game, most everyone loves music, and you can talk about that.
So many people wrote in. I'll just be able to read a few of those now. I'm Club said, "Oh wow, I'm actually working on a huge, almost 3-hour video about the entire Guitar Hero franchise, so this came at an amazing time. Guitar Hero 3 is one of, if not the best Guitar Heroes of all time. My mind has been pretty consumed with nothing but Guitar Hero as I've been working on this project, so I feel it's only right that I quote my final thoughts of GH3 as my commentary. Guitar Hero 3 is a phenomenal game and one that I will come back to on a regular basis. It's a ton of fun, has songs that everyone will love, has a great challenge and tons of replay value with the stuff you can buy and high scores you can seek. And it's even an incredibly fun multiplayer game as well. GH3 will forever hold a special place in my heart, and it's always the first game I think of when it comes to the franchise. This gets my vote for NGP in a heartbeat."
And heartbeat?
Rain said, "As the game was announced, I was thinking, hit me with your best shot," and I was not disappointed. Guitar Hero 3 is easily the best of the franchise and certainly not a slow ride. It improves upon literally everything in the first 2 games, most notably including the original recordings of songs and not covers. I spent a lot of time playing this with my dad growing up, and it inspired me to pick up an actual guitar, and now I'm in a band. This game has shaped me in more ways than I realized. I'm a little paranoid that people might think that the controls have aged well as they aren't accessible since guitar controllers are no longer sold for these old consoles. But for me, NGP all the way. Time to grab my guitar controller and rock and roll all night.
Snuck in a couple in there.
And party every day. Finally,
I think I got 5.
Yeah.
Finally, Sky Serpent 14. Love this one. Guitar Hero 3 is a game I have not touched since I was a little girl, playing it with my older brother. Tragically, Jake passed away just last month, so I wanted to honor him by playing along this week. I found our old guitars in my basement crawl space and then realized I actually did not have the means to play since I could not locate a dongle with my PS2 disc laser that went out. So I brought up gameplay on YouTube through my PS5 and I played along that way, like a little sibling who thinks they're playing even though the controller is not connected. Funnily enough, I actually did feel like I was controlling the game, especially where the gameplay recording made mistakes at the same time I did. As a memorable title and rocking throwback, I feel that I must give Guitar Hero 3 a yes for NGP.
That is so touching. That is so sweet.
That's heartfelt.
Man. One of the better commentaries. Thanks for playing
Yeah.
along, Sky Serpent 14. Thanks for everyone for playing along with us this week. For now, we are setting aside Guitar Hero 3, Legends of Rock, and we are going to be randomly selecting the next game that we'll be playing for the next 7 days from our Retro Master List. Randomizing now. Virgin Interactive Entertainment is the publisher of this game.
Okay.
Burst Studio are the developers. The game was released in 1996 for the PC.
I'm out.
Okay.
Kenny's in.
Mid-90s PC has me hyped.
And it is a graphics
Not playable.
adventure video game.
Okay, maybe less so.
It's not going to be playable.
It's point and click.
This can be good. I'm
it
actually more
features-
hyped now.
Hand-drawn imagery and animated characters, but the protagonist, Drew Blank, is portrayed in video capture live action by the actor Christopher Lloyd.
What?
What?
Sorry.
What?
All right.
Find a copy of Toonstruck.
Toon?
Yes!
Okay.
And play it along with us this week.
What, dude? Christopher Lloyd?
We'll find out.
Wait, yeah. It's Back to the Future guy. What? It's not even...
All right, quit looking at it. Find Toonstruck, play it along with us this week, and Nolan will tell you how to hang out with us.
Oh, yeah. You can go to Discord, but he's not even turned into graphics. It's just him.
He's live action
Go
on
to-
animation.
Go to discord.gg/newgameplus.
We want to say thank you to those of you who support us on an ongoing basis as well. Head on over if you want to join that group to patreon.com/NGP podcasts to find out how you can be like our newest patrons who are joining us for the very first time, Scotty and Ted. Welcome. Got a big hype announcement. We have a new director level supporter joining us this week. Thank you to Smashing Bricks Retro Gaming Podcast. Look forward to playing a game of your choice with you in the future. While we're talking directors, we want to say a big thank you to Bro Jim, Super Hyper, Siegfried, Justified 01, and of course our very own The Kentucky
Yay!
Kid. Thank you so much for the episode, for the excuse to play this super fun game, for being here and talking with us. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, anytime. And of course,
hold on, that's not true.
I mean, anytime that I feel like it.
This
I'll make it
time.
happen.
This
Can he
time.
take over?
Should we say this time from now on?
Can he take
This
over?
time. To our large and growing list of producer level supporters as well, including Alex, Alias X, Antonin, Arlen, Yuki, Ben, Craig, Dustin's 5 o'clock, Shadow, Garlisle, Hallex, Harold, J. Robert, Jake, Jared, Jordan, Joey, Justin, Kenny's Beard, Clint, Corey, Levi, Maxima, Megatroid, Miss Muso, Not Enough Dog, Riff, Sage and Shane, Shauna, Steven Fox, Psycho Mantis, Thomas Turtle, Unbelievable Zion, and our honorary producer of the week, Jake. This show goes out to you.
Yeah. Where can people find you online?
The two, I'll share the two. I'm on Twitch. I'm going to start streaming more Clone Hero on there. That'll be The Kentucky Kid, all one word, on Twitch. And you can find me on Instagram at Dadalac, which that's spelled DADLAC_.
Nice. And in person, I'm assuming they can find you in Kentucky?
In Kentucky.
Yep.
Just
You can
go
find-
to the state.
Say,
and
where's the
he'll be
kid?
there.
Show me the kid.
If you ask for the Kentucky Kid, you'll get someone who is definitely not me, but you can find me around the Louisville area.
All right. You can follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, and YouTube. All of those links are in the show notes. Listen directly on any podcast provider of your choice. Make sure you subscribe so that you are the first to get new NGP episodes. And while you're at it, please leave a kind rating and review. Our video episode was edited by our friend Dylan. Our audio episode was edited and produced by our friend Dan Willett. Join us next week as we play Toonstruck with Christopher Lloyd. Until then, I'm still Tom Morello.
I'm still not Lou.
/
I'm still Johnny Napalm.
And this has been New Game Plus.